shine upon us. Set us free by the truth you now bring us. Shine on me, shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. Lord, I come to your awesome presence. From the shadows into your radiance. By the blood may I enter your brightness. Search me, try me, consume all my darkness. Shine on me, shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood this nation with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. As we gaze on your kingly brightness, so our faces display your likeness, ever changing from glory to glory. Spirit, here may our lives tell your story. Shine on me, shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. As the deep pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. 'Cause you alone are my strength and shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. You're my friend, and you're my brother, even though you are a king. I love you more than any other, so much more than anything. 'Cause you alone are my strength and shield. To you and I long to worship you. I want you more than gold or silver, only you can satisfy. You alone are the true joy giver and the apple of my eye. 'Cause you alone are my strength and shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. You alone are my strength and shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you.
Welcome everyone to MCC at Home. It's great to have you with us this morning, particularly if you're new with us. It's fantastic again, and we count ourselves so fortunate to have you watching us this morning. Just a little bit about what the format's going to entail this morning. Pretty soon I'll be doing our second talk on our ongoing series on the Sermon on the Mount. After that, we'll be catching up with two of our MCC members, and then we'll have our news for the week. And then Tim will be leading us in communion together. Joel will play us another song. Thanks for the first one, Joel. And after that, there'll be, again, a short intermission during which you'll have a chance to gather your kids. If they need to be gathered, get them together for the children's story with Meg, which will conclude our service for this morning. So again, thank you for joining us. Now, our second talk on the Sermon on the Mount. But before I get into that, no doubt you guys have some burning questions about this fantastic little piece up here, right behind me. So the good people at YouTube, after we got a gazillion views online, they threw us some money for improved set design. They said, buy some nice art, Matt. So I Googled classic art pieces, came up with a whole host of potential candidates, but then decided, you know what? I like pictures of dogs playing billiards or cards. I reckon that's fantastic. I'm a simple guy, but I know what I like. Hence this. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And just so we're clear, YouTube, right there, they really haven't sent us any money whatsoever. That was just a joke. So, the Sermon on the Mount, our second talk on this. For those of you, again, who may be tuning in for the first time, the Sermon on the Mount is perhaps Jesus' most famous collection of teachings. And the version that we're looking at is from Matthew chapter 5 through to 7. So those three chapters encompass the Sermon on the Mount. There's an equivalent that you'll find over in Luke's Gospel called the Sermon on the Plain. But for our intents and purposes, we'll be just looking at Matthew's version. So again, even if you don't think that you've got any recollection of the Sermon on the Mount, chances are you'll be familiar with some of these sayings. So turn the other cheek, walk the extra mile, for example, judge not lest ye be judged. These are all contained in the Sermon on the Mount. So it's kind of embedded, if you like, in our, I suppose, our kind of cultural memory. So there you go. This week, I want to again start to dive in and provide just a little bit more background to the sermon. And I wanted to start off with a quote in a second. And this quote is meant to serve the following purpose. There's a risk, I think, that many of us find being way too familiar with the Sermon on the Mount. And that risk is, again, we may have kind of soaked it up just as part of our kind of background ether for so long that it loses some of its potency. Gandhi, he was a big fan of Jesus. He was also a big fan of the Sermon on the Mount. And this little anecdote refers to both of those. So listen to this, and I'll quote. Although Hindu, Gandhi had a very close connection with Christianity and admired Jesus very much, often quoting from his favourite Sermon on the Mount, found in Matthew chapters 5 to 7. When the missionary E. Stanley Jones met with Gandhi, he asked him, Mr. Gandhi, though you quote the words of Christ often, why is it that you appear to so adamantly reject becoming his follower? Gandhi replied, oh, I don't reject Christ. I love Christ. It's just that so many of you Christians are so unlike Christ. If Christians would really live according to the teachings of Christ, an example being the Sermon on the Mount, as found in the Bible, all of India would be Christian today, he added. If Christians would really live according to the teachings of Christ, as found in the Bible, all of India would be Christian today, he added. All of India would be Christian? Who knows? That sounds like maybe a little bit of a stretch to me. But again, the point remains. Gandhi is saying if more people actually lived out what we find in the Sermon on the Mount, if more Christians could actually adhere to that in their daily lives, its witness would be powerful and profound, and perhaps more people as a result will come to love and follow Jesus. So that's just to set the scene. Now, of course, to live out the Sermon on the Mount, we first have to have a good, thorough understanding. And right from the get-go, you'll see, as Matthew opens it in chapter 5, already there's a couple of terms that can cause some confusion. So those terms are found in what we call the Beatitudes. So as John Stott says in chapter 5, verses 2 through to 11, there's eight little groups of sayings. Blessed are, blessed are, blessed are, blessed are. And Stott says these are both responsibilities and privileges for every Christian. Again, so not any super Christians, but every Christian. And of course, we can trip over that word blessed. Blessed. What does that mean? The risk is that we bring our 21st century understandings to an ancient term. So some translations of the Bible get around this by substituting blessed with happy. Now, of course, if you believe that God made us and he's our creator, he knows how to make us happy. But the risk is, again, we associate happiness with our current cultural understanding, which is usually relating to a subjective emotional state. So I could feel really happy if I'd stockpiled 2 months ago pallets and pallets of both toilet paper and hand sanitizer, and was now just gouging you guys in terms of prices for that, selling it off on Gumtree or something. I could be extremely happy, but presumably God would not be happy. So again, I'd feel great, but presumably guys are looking down going, you know what, I'm going to bless Matt for his entrepreneurial streak. That is fantastic. That's not going to be happening, right? So happy kind of gets there, but it's not all-encompassing enough and it's too easily interpreted. So we go back to blessed. The original Greek term that is translated blessed, well, the Greeks had two words that were translated into blessed. And the first one relates to this kind of blessed. If I say to you, you know what, I really bless you and I bless your endeavour and I wish you every blessing in the future for your particular activity, you know, or I want to bless your health. That meaning of blessed refers to a future state. It's almost aspirational. I'm hoping that God will reward you for something further on down the line. Now, that word that's translated blessed isn't the one that we find here in the sermon. Instead, we find the other word that's translated blessed, the other New Testament Greek term, and that is makarios. And makarios is more concerned with recognising a current state. So it's probably better rendered blessed. Blessed. So this means God favours you. This means God has God approves of where you are currently. And this is really important because it's not concerned with a future exaltation. It's not concerned with a reward for something in the future. Blessed is recognising something that is already there. It is set in the present. And so, again, the order of this is really important because when we come to these little blessings, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. This is critical. Jesus isn't saying, look, if you want to inherit the earth, this is what you do. All you got to do is be meek, and then you'll inherit the earth, and then you'll be blessed. That's the reward. No. It's not about that. It's about this. You are already a member, a citizen of the kingdom of God. That is a gift. It's something that was unearned, can't be earned. It was given to you, and you accepted it. Now, as a result of being a member of that kingdom, you are blessed. You already have you're already enjoying God's favour. You already have God's approval. Now, as a result of that, as a result of the fact that, just like we talked about last time when we started off on this sermon series, in light of that kingdom that has started to appear but is still waiting to be completely fulfilled, in light of that, live this way because you are already a member of that. So the Sermon on the Mount, it means that it's not like a life hack. It's not a series of moral exhortations. You must live this way in order to be blessed and receive God's favour. Again, the order is reversed, and that is critical. You're already, again, through no deservedness of our own, you're already a member of that kingdom if you've accepted God's offer to be part of it. And as a result of that, you are blessed. So live accordingly. That matters. So, what about if you don't count yourself or see yourself as a follower of Jesus? How would you go about trying to stick to the Sermon on the Mount then? Could you do it, if you like, in your own power to kind of demonstrate your own merit? And I'd suggest that instead of blessing you, the sermon would instead almost break you. And here's why. David Goggins, who wrote a book last year, made the New York bestseller list. It was called Don't Break Me. I listened to it on audiobook. Great book. Goggins is an ex-Navy SEAL. He's done like all the super soldier special training for the Army Rangers. He's got the world, I think, record in chin-ups. He started off being 300 pounds and now he's like probably 70 or 80. He's done 600 ultra marathons, etc., etc. The guy's a pretty impressive physical and mental specimen. And he has, like, his book is basically, you probably wouldn't call it this, but it reads like a bit of a self-help book. And he accounts like this one great little kind of hack that he used repeatedly starting from his teenage years that he attributes a lot of his success to. And it's called the accountability mirror. Every morning, Goggins will get up. He's got a shaved head, so he'd go through the same ritual. Shave his head, reflect on the day before, ask himself, what could have I done better? While he's looking himself, presumably with a steely gaze right in the mirror, what could have I done better? And then he goes, okay, I could have done this better. Now I'm going to fix it. So he pulls out like a little sticky note or a Post-it, fix this, David Goggins, sticks it onto the mirror. So he's facing himself, he's being honest with himself, and he says, fix this, fix it. So imagine that for the next little while, you're going to use the Sermon on the Mount as your standard, and you're going to try to fix everything in your life that doesn't meet up to that. And again, you're doing this to attain some kind of reward or to demonstrate your own merit. Imagine what would happen. Okay, so the sermon says, don't be angry with people in your life. Don't regard anyone as foolish. Okay, well that's really easy in the middle of a pandemic, when if you've got kids, presumably they're at home with you 24/7 and suddenly you become not just their parent, but their principal as well. That's going to be really easy not to get angry with them, right, and foolish. I'd say strike one. Strike two. The sermon says, judge not lest you be judged. Take the log out of your own eye before you address the speck in someone else's. And again, is that really easy, given that you've got people who are flagrantly disregarding the law and putting everyone's health at risk? How do you not go about judging them? The sermon says, don't look at anyone lustfully. If you look at someone else lustfully, then effectively, in the eyes of God, you've committed adultery with them. And again, is that always easy, given that you could be home a lot with your partner, could be a little bit of friction there, you've got access to maybe a whole lot of alcohol that you've stockpiled and a really good internet connection. So you could be staying up late at night looking at all the wrong things. And lastly, the sermon, of course, famously says, don't worry, don't be anxious for anything. And how simple is that? Again, given we live in the midst of a pandemic that we know has a pretty striking and scary mortality rate. And chances are, well, not chances are, maybe, it's not beyond a remote chance, either yourself or someone you love will get COVID-19 and maybe get it bad. So, given all those things, how can anyone take their David Goggins accountability mirror and write up that they stuck to it perfectly? I think the result, again, would be it would break you. And it would break you probably one of two or three different ways. You'd end up saying, this standard of the sermon is too much to attain, so I'm just going to disregard it. Shake my fist at God. God is too much to ask. It's ridiculous. Forget you, God. So you kind of despair at God. Or you downplay your own faults. You say, well, so sure I didn't hit a 10 out of 10 every day on my accountability mirror, but I hit, 7 or 8, and that's way better than the guy I know next door. And I've seen all the guys around at his place every day. No way, he's social distancing. What a loser. That guy's a 4 out of 10. I'm way better than him. And instead of the sermon causing humility, it causes arrogance. Or lastly, the sermon may just bring you to the end of yourself. And you go, I can't keep a 10 out of 10. It's just way too difficult. I can't do this in my own power. What's the point? So you give up. You just give up. And you reach the end of yourself. And perhaps that is one of the points of the sermon. It is meant to help people if they try to live it out and meet it in their own strength, follow all its ethical obligations. It will make you realize that you cannot do it in your own strength and you need more. You need God's help. And again, the order is becoming a citizen of the kingdom of heaven first, accepting God's gracious gift, and then empowered by his Spirit and his help, starting to meet those ethical requirements. That's the order. As Bob Dylan once sang, a great line, as great as you are, man, you will never be greater than yourself. As great as you are, man, you'll never be greater than yourself. And that's what the sermon, if you try to live it out in your own strength, will show you. Finally, if you do count yourself as a follower of Jesus, again, be encouraged. The sermon is saying, again, you are blessed. And that is despite how you feel at the moment. You may feel beat down. You may feel a little bit lost. You may find yourself, again, wondering, where is God in the midst of all this? How are we going to get through it? And the sermon, to some degree, says, disregard your feelings. Disregard your feelings. Your objective state in the eyes of God is that you are blessed because you already belong to this kingdom. You already have God's unmerited favour and approval. It was a gift given freely to you that you accepted. And that's your true state. The sermon says, again, regardless of what you're feeling, live out of your identity, not your feelings. Live out of your identity. That's your primary story, not what you're feeling at the moment. So take some encouragement from that. So that was this week. Next week we're going to dive in deeper and start with the first beatitude, namely, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Poor in spirit, what does that mean? Pretty soon, hopefully, we'll find out. But thank you for tuning in and watching this. And now, like I said before, we're going to spend some time getting to know a little bit more about a couple of our MCC members. Simon and Leanne, thanks so much for coming in. It's great to have you with us, and I really appreciate you taking the time. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. I reckon a whole lot of fun. So the first question, how long have you guys been part of MCC for, and how did you first come to join us?
Well, I think it was in the late 80s we started coming to the Christmas Eve functions. Mum was a member of the church, I think, from the mid-80s. Mm-hmm. And 30 years ago, on the 28th of July, got the right date?
Yep.
We got married there.
Oh, very good.
Jim, success story?
Yeah, I thought it was Jim. Yeah, great.
Yeah, Jim did the ceremony. So.
Oh, cool. Congratulations, 30 years.
Yeah.
Great, yeah. What do you guys miss most about meeting up with people face to face and the old way of, the regular way of doing church?
Just being able to see people, talk to people face to face, just that human contact, a hug, lots of all the hugging that we're missing out on right now.
Yeah.
I miss the opportunity for some banter. There's always a bit of banter going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just mixing with a nice group of people that care about each other in the community, or nice, genuine people. So
I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience and your interest in YWAM.
Yep. Well, I met YWAM leaders back in the 80s, in the late 80s. I booked an outreach for a Tasmanian YWAM team to, I think, Winter Olympics in Canada in about 88. And that was my first experience, and I got to know the leaders, and I think one of the leaders at that stage was the national leader, and we went to their report back time, which is what happens after every YWAM outreach, and that was a very emotional experience that Simon thought there'd been some kind of a massacre go on because there was lots of crying and lots of...
It's pretty full on.
Yeah, heavy,
lots of noise.
Yeah.
But we've learned a lot since then. And through those people I met other YWAM leaders. So they moved. Both of those people moved to Newcastle and worked in bases over there and to Townsville. So I got to know lots of different people on the way. We're still friends. And it's just been a long time of accumulating lots of friends nationally and some internationally, and some of those started missions overseas, and those missions overseas are ones that we chose to support, or what inspired us to start Volunteer Holidays years ago.
Oh, cool.
And there's still people that we're in contact with today. Yep. So probably the base that I have the most to do with at the moment is Perth.
Yep.
Go and visit there 4 times a year.
Yep.
Newcastle, I go and see them 2 times a year. Brisbane 3 times a year. So there's a lot of face-to-face, because that's so important in YWAM, the relational aspect.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. It's taught me a lot about faith and about God. So it's been it's been great.
So you guys are big music fans. Not sure how many people at home know that. You've got a pretty impressive guitar, signed guitar on the wall collection. And I know that you've been to lots of different gigs.
I'll just talk about the first one I went to with Leanne, and my memory might be a bit fuzzy, but she turned up in her lime green Gemini with her pointy black shoes, blue black hair, spiked up, and said, "Do you want to go and see Earth the Kid at the casino?" I said, "Yeah." And this was in the days before Google, and I thought, "Who's Earth the Kid?"
I've never heard of him.
So anyway, the day came along, and I cooked her a flounder from memory, and we went down to the casino, and Leanne had front row seats, and someone was sitting in our seats, and I said, "Don't worry about it." "Well, yes, we're going." And Leanne said, "We're not moving." So after a bit of push and shove, we sat in front with the people in the front row seats.
Wow.
And then Earth the Kit came out, and I thought, she's not bad.
Yeah.
And halfway through this concert, she had a bottle of Veuve Clicquot brought out in 2 glasses, and I thought, oh, that's good taste. And then she looked down at me, she went. So I sat on stage and shared the bottle of Veuve with her, and after the concert, I bought her a warmed Shiraz at Birdcage Bar.
That's great. So you were pulled from the audience by Eartha Kitt.
Who, until that concert, I'd never heard of
before, yeah.
I didn't tell her that.
Yeah. So both Leanne and Eartha Kitt, impeccable taste. That's the moral of that story, I reckon.
So, I did. From that experience, I also learnt that Leanne doesn't back down from a confrontation.
Now, you're a man who's always struck me as having very many different hobbies. So again, like for the folks at home and maybe you don't know, you've owned a Corvette, impressive, but you've also raised chickens. You keep bees, and from memory you were flying drones or planes way before it was cool. So I'm really interested in hearing about how you're planning to spend any extra free time that you got at home now. What are you going to be doing?
Well, a year ago I set up some high-tech wicking garden beds which are self-watering, and the produce that's coming out of them is amazing. So I'm busy making the produce, giving it to Leanne, who's cooking and delivering it around the place to Mum and Jen and the relatives. I also bought a fairly high-end simulator a few years ago. So at the moment I'm learning to fly a Super Hornet. I'm lucky my nephew actually flies them in real life, so he comes down and gives me tips.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And trying to get a good lap time around Le Mans in a Ford GT40.
Okay, yeah. So, also a simulator, I assume, because that'd be tough for social distancing otherwise. Yeah, and travel bans. Yeah, okay, cool. So simulator, yeah.
All done in the simulator.
Yeah.
And we're busy walking the dogs every day and trying to keep the girls occupied.
Yeah. Fantastic. I think many people can relate to that. What particularly can we pray for you and your family right now?
Well, I've thought about that more so the medical frontline staff globally, what they're doing, and in this battle.
Yeah.
That was my thoughts. We're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, for us personally, I would, I'm praying for, wisdom and patience and guidance just through the next little while at least to, do the best for our kids and be able to support them through their homeschooling, still be able to look after the people that we work with and guide them through and hopefully save their jobs and the business. So really we're just praying for wisdom and guidance through that. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so kids and colleagues, and again all those frontline health staff and workers, who could do with plenty of patience and wisdom now too, I reckon. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks guys, again appreciate you coming in. And now you're more than welcome to hang around for the news as well. Really? Yeah.
Good morning everyone. Now it's time for the MCC news. So our first bit is just a reminder that while life is very different, we all still have a lot of things going on. So please remember to pray for each other. The prayer directory, please use this, have a look through it, take a few names each day, pray for each other, keep each other in your thoughts as we all adjust to this strange new world that we're living in. Pray particularly for Kate, Ian and little baby Jonathan. Thank you to everyone who's been taking them meals. That's been fantastic. But keep that family in your prayers as they adjust to a whole new family, as well as the strange times that we're living in. We also want to pray and keep an eye out for people in our broader communities, your neighbours, those you're keeping in touch with on social networking. Just keep each other in mind, be aware of when someone might be needing a bit of help. Reach out to them and reach out to others as you need to. And pray also for the broader country and the broader world. Everyone across the world is dealing with this. I heard someone say it's actually a shared human experience that we can appreciate across the globe. So please keep the whole world in your prayers. It's a lot for us, but it's not too much for God. Our MCC family Facebook site is a great way for us to keep in touch with each other. We are distanced physically, but that helps us keep in touch socially. So please take some time to have a look at that and also to post on it. We miss seeing your faces. So take some photos, put them up there for us. Let us see what your life is like and how it's going on at the moment. It'd be so great to see everyone through that medium. Another way you can see each other is through a Zoom meeting. That's a free program that you can just download, and it allows you to have a online catch up with several people at once. You can see photos of each other, and just it's like being in the same room but on a screen, which is the best we can manage at the moment. So please have a look at that. If you don't know how to do it, there's heaps of people within our network who can help you load that one up. So it is a good way to keep in touch with people. The last piece of news that I have for you is regarding our Monster Garage sale. As previously been advised, that has been postponed due to the current situation, but it is not cancelled. We are still hoping it will go ahead later in the year. Now, I know a lot of people have time at the moment to be clearing out things from their houses. Don't clear them right away. Put them to one side, and we will want them later in the year for that garage sale to raise money for causes, as we do every couple of years. With that in mind, if anyone has any spare storage space, a shed, a garage, a spare room, please let us know. We do have things coming in for the garage sale and nowhere to keep them at the moment. So let Matt and Lou know, and they'll make some arrangements to store that stuff up for a good cause later in the year. Okay, that is it for the MCC news today, and now it's time for communion with Tim.
Hey guys, it's good to be with you here this morning. Now, last year our kids weren't old enough for school, so Kate and I had a weekly structure for our kids that was easy to keep up, it was easy to be engaging, and it was diverse as well. There were regular play dates with other kids, there was swimming, there was kinder gym, there was a day with grandma as well. There were lots of bases covered through all of this. Now though, if you imagine all of these activities being written up on a whiteboard, that's all just been smudged off with a hand. And maybe that's what your weekly schedule looks like now as well, just a smudge. And maybe that's something you can relate to either for your own life or somebody around you, this idea that the weekly rhythm of life is really messed up at the moment. And the Easter holiday probably didn't help with that either. For those of us in that boat, what I would recommend you do is to plan to create a new weekly or fortnightly structure that touches on all of the areas in your life that are important to you. This is your opportunity to schedule in some things that would previously have too often fallen by the wayside. Things like calling up family or calling up friends, time for prayer and time for reading the Bible as well. Now, if you're watching this on Sunday morning, then congratulations, because you've maintained this discipline. And of course, I encourage you greatly to keep that one up. We are doing our best to keep these videos as engaging and entertaining and as encouraging as possible. If you've already got your Sunday mornings at 10 sorted, then you're off to a really good start in structuring your week towards serving God. And thank God that we're still able to use this medium to share in communion despite having to do it over a distance. Because at MCC, we believe that communion is such a vital part of being a Christian and of doing church that we do it every week. This ritual that we do every week gives us an opportunity for contemplation, an opportunity to reconnect with God, an opportunity to be thankful for the fact that our sins are forgiven because of the sacrifice made by Jesus. It is good to have structure in our lives to make sure we're always reconnecting with the things that people hold dear. But for Christians, there is no weekly discipline more important than reconnecting with God and thanking Jesus for the gift that he gave us. So let's do that now together. I'm going to break the bread, hand it on, and I'm going to take some juice. And someone's going to pray and we're going to drink the juice together.
Dear God, we thank you for your love. Thank you that we can be reminded of it every week with communion. We thank you that something so simple represents something so big and so powerful. We thank you again for Jesus. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks for being with us this morning, everyone. Really appreciate it. And again, particularly if you're watching this in real time with us, again, that's something that we don't take for granted, and that's a habit that we want to keep on encouraging people to stick with. So thank you. If you haven't connected with us, I'd encourage you, please look us up on Facebook, Margate Christian Church. That'd be fantastic. And I'd also suggest, if you want to, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and you get some notifications and a reminder as to every time something new appears there. Now, just like usual, Joel is going to play us out with a song. We'll have a brief intermission and then we'll move into children's story. So please, again, stick around for that. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. God bless.
Your eye is on the sparrow, and your hand, it comforts me. From the ends of the earth to the depths of my heart, let your mercy and strength be seen. You call me to your purpose, as angels understand. For your glory, may you draw all men as your love and grace demand. And I will run to you, to your words of truth, not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit of God. Yes, I will run the race till I see your face. Oh, let me live in the glory of your grace. You call me to your purpose, as angels understand. For your glory, may you draw all men as your love and grace demands. And I will run to you, to your words of truth, not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit of God. Yes, I will run the race till I see your face. Oh, let me live in the glory. Oh, let me live in the glory. Oh, let me live